Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast of Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here as always by the man who puts the super in Super Wild Card Weekend. Kyle, how are you doing?
I am doing great. Thanks for the compliments. I am ready to go for some playoff football, baby. This is exciting.
I think you can always tell by that little intro thing of I think the lamer the intro, you can tell the closer to to the start time of the podcast. I came up with it. That was definitely we're at 6 seconds in the intro in the preview. I still haven't come up with an intro.
It was good for me. A plus.
Okay, I just compliment you because you're never going to complain.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of not complaining, Kyle, I think this is an exciting week. I'm very much looking forward to 5 of these 6 games.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. It'll be outlined
Uh,
in my picks. I think that these are all
mhm,
some pretty good teams. -1. And yeah, I'm
mhm.
looking forward to some fun football.
Yeah. So we got to talk about the scoring system. I know that's what everyone has been dying to know. What is the scoring system in the playoffs? Well, if you were here last year, you remember, but as a refresher, I will keep track. So first off, Kyle, you've been killing it, or maybe I've been doing horrible. I don't know because last year, when I went back to remember what the scoring system was, I believe you had the most points last year at this time with 39 points. Now the score is 45 to 55. So we didn't do great this year.
No, in picking this year has been hard. There's been some really weird upsets and just kind of
Mhm.
weird stuff going on. Plus, obviously, people randomly missing games. It's all kind of added to the challenge of this, and I definitely think that that's been a problem. But we did pretty good, I think overall. We had some really strong weeks. Last week wasn't a strong week for either of us, but we did pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. And so here's how the new system will work. There's 6 games. Instead of giving each other games, we're both picking every game here, but we have 12 points that we can bet on. Basically, we're betting 12 points on these games. The way to think about it is you could pick however many points you want to bet on each game, but you have to bet at least 1 point. If you get the game right, then none of those points count towards your total. You get it wrong, all of those points count towards your total. If that's a little confusing, just basically the way to think about it is the more points we put on a game, that means the more confident we are the outcome will go that way. Does that make sense, Kyle?
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, ready to get right into it?
Well, yeah, let's get right into it. Let's start off. So we can do any order here. Let's go to Cardinals Rams. I think this is the Monday night game. So also should mention this is when we will be doing our recap show. It won't be after Sunday. It'll be after Monday, since that's when the last game will be. That's when we'll know who's going to be in the divisional round. Uh, I think this is a very very interesting game. These two teams split in the regular season. Let's just both give our picks and then we'll get into it. I think so. I have trying to look at, well, wait a second. So if I'm losing, you should give your pick first. So you give your pick and then I'll give mine.
All right. I was going back and forth between this one, especially with the interesting news that JJ Watt might play in this one,
Hmm.
surprisingly. Um, I went back and forth and I ended up picking the Rams. I feel like I'm just going to get suckered into this Rams team until they disappoint me. There's just too
Hmm.
much talent to pick against them. You know, I think that the Cardinals have struggled in coverage the last few games. I think that the Rams are going to be able to throw the ball. Matthew Stafford might throw a couple turnovers, but they still have Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr. They still have all these guys. I'm picking the Rams, and I think that I feel pretty good about it, but I'm gonna put 1 point on this one.
Okay. We're on the same page. I'm also putting 1 point on the Rams. I have it as a 33 to 31 final. I have final scores as well because I did my whole, in-depth previews for all of these games. I've already released the Cardinals Rams. So if you're here to hear about that game, maybe check out the preview as well. That's on this channel. But yeah, I think this game should be really fascinating. And I really do think that to some degree, this game could just come down to, does Matt Stafford screw up? Does Matt Stafford make a mistake? Because I think that if he doesn't, I think that I like what the Rams have been able to do offensively against Arizona, and really both of these two games. The second half of the first game, they really kind of figured stuff out. And really in that second game, their offense was rolling. The only concern I have is, does Matt Stafford make a mistake that he's been making the second half of this season?
Yeah, and he hasn't been good the last few weeks by any means. I think he said better weeks than like I think he's had some decent weeks. I thought he was actually pretty good in the Cardinals game, if I remember correctly. The second Cardinals game, obviously. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to, like you said, can he make some mistakes? And if not, what's plan? If he's making mistakes, what's plan B for the Rams? Are they going to be able to get stops? Which I think they should be able to because this defense is still good enough. And then obviously, can they run the ball and establish the run? I still think they can do these things, and I still think they're going to be pretty good against this Cardinals defense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that this should be an interesting game, especially with the way that the Cardinals defense, has not played particularly well against this Rams team. Even in that first game, stuff was open. The Cardinals kind of just weren't able to fully take advantage of it. I thought. The flip side for Arizona here, I think that Arizona is an interesting spot where they kind of had the opposite thing happen, right? Where in their second game, it was they were the ones shooting themselves in the foot. Like they were getting these explosive plays. They were still getting stuff to happen. Kyler threw 2 picks in that game. If Kyler can clean up his game, I do think both offenses should have a good day in this one.
I think so too, but the problem is the thing that we've seen with the Cardinals the second half of the season is that without DeAndre Hopkins, we haven't really seen this team. I said with if Matt Stafford's struggling, what's plan B for the Rams and can they figure it out? And I think even in his bad games, they've been managing to figure things out. They still have a very good record and have won games. What is the solution now that I mean, we've had a lot of weeks of this. I haven't seen a real solution to solving this no DeAndre Hopkins problem. And I don't think there is a solution. I think it's the solution is Kyler's got to play hero ball basically, and James Conner's going to have to get like 90 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, I mean, one solution would be getting DeAndre Hopkins back, but that's not going to be happening. Today, it was announced that Hopkins will not be available for the wild card game. So that's obviously discouraging, and that's a fair point. But I guess what I would say is like those first couple of games, it was largely scheme based. And obviously, listen, it's easier to game plan when you have a DeAndre Hopkins on the field, of course. But it was a lot of like, hey, we have 3 receivers who are just going to run their routes well enough. So I don't know if I think that in a matchup like this, it might actually be okay. You might be able to live with it.
It's possible, but I just look at those corners for the Rams and it's like, okay, who's getting open? You know.
Sure. I mean, I guess so. But well, I mean, I think they can, run a zone buster, right? It's not going to be man coverage. It's probably going to be that quarters coverage that the Rams like to run.
Yeah. It all depends on like I don't know who's gonna have to be the guy for Arizona. Do you think it's a guy like Zach Ertz has to kind of have a huge game and that's the solution?
I mean, I think they have several guys who can do it. I think, like, AJ Green, Christian Kirk. I think they have receivers who can do all right. I don't think their depth is horrible. Obviously, losing DeAndre Hopkins hurts. It's never going to be good. But I don't think it's. I guess I'm more optimistic about how the Cardinals can play offensively than you are.
I definitely think so. It seems that way. Although they did like you said they did pretty well in that second game. Besides a couple turnovers and mistakes,
Hmm.
they still ended up with what 23 points in that game.
Something like that. I forget the exact
Yeah,
total, but yeah, they did have a good offensive day. Just a couple mistakes kind of threw them off. So yeah, I think it could be. I think it's an interesting game. This is one that I think could go either way. And again, we both ended up with the exact same pick of we're picking the Rams, but only putting 1 point on it. So you want to move on to another game, or you have any final thoughts on this one?
does Eric Weddle add anything for you for this game?
Oh, a ton. I think he's going to be a difference maker.
You think so?
What a wild thing to happen, right? I mean, like it reminds me of I think the Chiefs got like Darrell Revis like years after he retired, or like when the Seahawks got Marshawn Lynch back for that one game. It's just like I always love when this stuff happens.
Yeah, this feels like a legacy ring. That's
Hmm.
all he wants. But yeah,
What is weird too? It's like why did he do this? Why did Eric Weddle sign up for this? Just the
maybe
money,
he's a masochist. I
quick
don't know.
paycheck.
Yeah,
I guess
maybe.
so. Hmm.
So
It
yeah,
just seems like it's a weird. It's like who's been out of the league for years and it's like yeah, I could go into the playoffs.
I guess the question is, why don't more guys do this? Why
Yeah,
don't
I
more
guess you're
guys?
right. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Uh, just be like, yeah, everybody can come back. Like Darrell Revis signs with the Patriots again. We'll take him.
Mhm.
We're down a corner. So,
I I always felt like I remember when the Raiders lost Derek Carr and then they lost their backup, so they had Connor Cook in the game. It's like, why not just like call up Brett Favre, like see if he's doing something, like just take a chance here because you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Connor Cook.
yeah, I guess, I guess the contact and like having to take that hit would be the problem. Like, I don't know if Weddle
Mhm.
actually expects to play. Like, do you think he's even
Right.
ready to play?
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine either. Like, I think
Mhm.
he's
I
there
mean,
for
I don't know what
moral
he's been up to.
support.
Maybe he's been in like oh, sorry. I don't know what he's been up to. Maybe he's been in like, playing football in a beer league or something, but like it doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, because beer league resembles the NFL pretty well.
It's pretty equal. Yeah. Ready to move on?
Yeah, we can move on now.
All right. Let's go to the Raiders Bengals. Where are you going here? How many points you putting on it?
Um, I'm gonna pick 1 point again, and I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. I think this. I was thinking about this game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this game is kind of similar to the Chargers Raiders game we saw last week. I think that
Mhm.
I think the Raiders are going to struggle covering this Bengals receiving core. I think CJ Uzama could have a big game at tight end over the middle in this game, but I think Max Crosby could be an absolute menace in this game and kind of mess him up. And then, if the Bengals offense is getting stopped, is because Crosby in that front line is getting after him. You know, I think that's the solution for the Raiders defensively. I think that offensively, the difference is that the Bengals can stop the run, and that's something that they typically do pretty well. So how do the Raiders find offense? And I think it's going to take a massive game out of Derek Carr. And I think Derek Carr is really going to have to outplay Joe Burrow. And I like Carr, and I think Carr's a good quarterback. I'm just not ready to say that's going to happen. So I got the Bengals winning.
Do you have like a final score you want to say?
I didn't come up with scores like you did, but I can pick
Mhm.
one off the top of my head.
Well,
I
just like
was,
about how close do you feel about this game?
I think this is within a touchdown.
Mhm.
There's only a couple games that I see outside of a touchdown this week. So yeah, I mean, I think this could be within 7.
All right. Well, I have it. I'm more optimistic on the Raiders. In fact, give me the Raiders to win this one. I'm putting 1 point on it. So we're going to disagree, which is good. This is makes for good podcasting. Here's my logic. So I went back and watched the first time these two teams played, and the Raiders didn't really struggle with stopping the receivers too much. In fact, the Raiders significantly outgained Cincinnati in this one. I think this could be a classic game of Zach Taylor just runs the ball 30. Basically, this was one of those Zach Taylor ran the ball 30 times when he could have just opened up the offense and tried to get the stuff to happen. I mean, the reality is the Raiders do a good job at this stuff deep down the field. I mean, they did a good job on Jamar Chase the first time these two teams played each other on that stuff towards the sideline. I think that they're okay in the on the outside. Now, over the middle, you might still be able to get stuff to happen, but again, in doing that, you're going to run the ball a lot. I could see Zach Taylor do that. The flip side is for the Raiders on their offense, you saw that sort of towards the end of the game, really in that fourth quarter, they started throwing the ball down the field. They started opening up their playbook and pushing the ball down the field, and had a lot of success when they did that, running those zone busters against the Bengals, cover 2 or cover 3 zone. They were able to get that stuff going pretty well. Darren Waller was, I think could be a huge impact player in this one. I expect him to be. So I have the Raiders winning. I literally have it. Not only am I only putting a point on it, my final prediction was Raiders 25, Bengals 24. So it's a coin flip game. I could see it going either way, but I think the Raiders have a real chance in this.
So you are not Zach Taylor's biggest fan.
No.
This has been well established, but
Hmm.
I want to go back the last few weeks
Okay.
because this has been a narrative, and I think for a large part of the season it was true. But
Hmm.
I think it's fair to say the two best Bengals games we saw all year were their last 2 games with Joe Burrow in the lineup, which were the Chiefs game and
Hmm.
the Ravens
I
game.
agree. Hmm.
In that Ravens game, they won 41-21. Joe Burrow threw the ball 46 times. Joe Mixon ran the ball 18 times. Okay. And then in the
Hmm.
game against the Chiefs, Joe Burrow threw the ball 39 times and Joe Mixon ran it 12 times. Now, granted, that was because they fell down 14-0 early. That played a huge
Hmm.
part in it, but also because is it possible maybe Zach Taylor learned a little bit of the error of his ways these last couple weeks and said, hey, our passing offense is significantly better than our running offense. Let's adjust this a little bit. Let's throw the ball more. Let's be more aggressive. And this is how we win football games because we have maybe the best outside the numbers receiver in the game right now. And that doesn't seem like a hot take with DeAndre Hopkins out. And we have all these other options that can go over the middle to give them more chances on the outside. And we have this great quarterback who might already be top 6 or 7 in the game, if not higher than that. So maybe this is a thing that they've kind of figured out, hey, this is kind of our bread and butter. Let's roll with it.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that that's what Zach Taylor has done because again, I don't enjoy. I mean, I do kind of enjoy making fun of Zach Taylor, but I don't like. I'd love nothing more than for Zach Taylor to just start calling, using Joe Burrow how I want to see Joe Burrow get used. Right? That makes sense. The question is that going to happen? Has he those past couple of games just realized, hey, this is the best way to run our offense to start throwing the ball constantly because that's what it benefits us? Or did he just say, hey, the Ravens have no corners and the Chiefs keep scoring, so let's throw the ball a bunch in these games?
It's potential. I mean, I definitely think it's that way too, but it's like, I
Mhm.
mean, I think I just if I mean, I think anybody can look at this, but if I'm, in charge of the Bengals, I'm trusting Joe Burrow and the Bengals wide receivers to beat any secondary, you know, and
Mhm.
especially like I think the Raiders secondary is all right, but I definitely think the Bengals have a significant advantage there. So I
Sure.
guess the question is if this is now becoming the norm rather than just a quick trend, and this is like a 65-35 split for the Bengals, pass to run. How
Mhm.
confident do you feel about this Raiders pick?
Um, I still feel all right about it. I think that again, I get what you're saying about the Raiders corners who have played well this year are not at no matter how good you are, you're going to struggle against Cincinnati's receiving core. But I think the flip side is it's not just the talent; it's also the scheme, and you're going to play a lot of cover three, which I think will work well in this game because it's giving you that immediate cushion. Jamar Chase isn't going to have as good of a time getting 30 yards down the field because you're getting a 10-yard head start on him. So I think that alone is going to allow you to limit this. This isn't going to be a 430-yard Joe Burrow game. Like the scheme won't let you get there. I don't think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure because I definitely think Crosby can make a huge impact on this game.
Yeah.
And this is people are pointing it out in the chat too. I definitely think this is a situation where he's going to have opportunities in this game. We saw the Chiefs' defensive line in that last game against the Bengals. Even when Burrow was going nuts, he still got hit a ton. And I still think this is a situation where they can kind of get at him. And if they can hold the coverage enough, Crosby's going to win that matchup. He's just going to because he's better than anybody on that Bengals offensive line. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that matches up. I still feel pretty confident just in the Bengals talent, and that's why they win. But I get the argument that maybe the Raiders can have some success. I just think that if they're willing to commit to throwing the ball, I think the Bengals do win this.
I guess my thing is this is just this, and I see, yeah, the Max Crosby thing's very. We'll stay on the Max Crosby thing for a second. Like, this is a good point. It's like Bengals have to double Crosby. The issue is like they don't do that.
Hmm.
That's not a thing that they constantly do. So I don't know if this is maybe that again. Basically, the way I see the Bengals winning is for their coaching staff to be something that I haven't seen them do consistently this season, which is come up with the correct game plan. That's just something that I'm concerned about. And you look at the history of the games that the Bengals have looked bad at offensively, it's been largely stuff like that Chicago game. Like this is a very similar style matchup, and that's why I can see them having some issues in this one that maybe people aren't realizing because you just look at the talent and see, well, Cincinnati's more talented. It's not all about talent.
Yeah. Didn't you have a stat that Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league against the blitz?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very good. That's something I talked about. Burrow passer rating goes way up against the blitz. The Raiders do not blitz,
Raiders
so
do
like
not blitz, right?
that's advantage in the Raiders' favor.
Yep. And then I guess the flip side. So I think we talked a lot about that. Do you have anything else you want to add about Bengals offense against Raiders defense?
No, we can go to the other side.
I guess actually real quickly I'll end it with those safeties have to stay over the top.
Hmm.
Safeties have to stay over the top for the Raiders. If they're getting beat deep, this is going to be a long game for them. Even if Max Crosby gets a couple hits, it's just going to be a long game. They have to stay over the top. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Going to the other side now, because we did a lot about that. So I think we've seen the Raiders' best offense over the last couple weeks has been using Josh Jacobs effectively. And Josh Jacobs, I think, has been very good and looked like his old self the last few weeks.
Hmm.
So how do they manage to do that with or without him? Because, like I said, with DJ Reader in that middle, this Bengals defensive line is pretty good at stopping the run, and they don't use a ton of bodies to stop the run too. So how do you see that matchup?
Um, I think they'll be able to run the ball effectively. I mean, I don't think it'll. I guess I'll say this. I don't think it'll be a difference maker. I don't think the Raiders are going to run their way into a victory in this one.
So you think Carr is going to have a huge matchup?
I think Carr's going to have a solid. I think Carr's going to play well. I mean, the first time these two teams played each other, they barely ran. Josh Jacobs had 9 carries, 37 yards, so 4.1 yards per carry. Again, I'm predicting a 25-24 matchup, so I'm not saying like the Raiders are going to go off offensively, but I do think that like when they opened up the playbook in the fourth quarter, there's a clear visual of you did one thing, it did not go well. You did something else, it went very well. I think the Raiders will do that second thing that they saw on tape. Like typically when this stuff happens, I feel like teams learn their lesson. And like there's a reason why Darren Waller had 116 yards in that game is because the over the middle is going to be open. And I think it'll be very similar to it's not too dissimilar schematically to the Chargers defense, which the Raiders were able to have success there as well.
Yeah, and so it'll come down to, I feel like, we're going to need to see some big catches. Zay Jones had a huge game in that one. I think he's going to have decent numbers because I think, the attention's on Hunter Renfrow now, and I think Hunter Renfrow is going to get a lot of attention this game. And like you said, Waller coming back will help a little bit, but with it, they're going to definitely prioritize those two. I think the question is that we saw towards the end of the season, can the secondary Raiders offensive weapons, the Zay Jones, the Bryan Edwards, can they come up with the big catches at the, when they really need to? Because they're going to be needed in this game, I feel like, if the Raiders are going to win, because depth is important in the playoffs. And I feel like that's going to be definitely the priority.
Yeah, and I agree with everything. And listen, I'm saying the Raiders are going to win by a point. Like, I think this is a game that could go either way. Just another couple interesting things. So, the last time these two teams played, the Bengals, won by significant amount on the scoreboard, 32-13. The Raiders outgained the Bengals in terms of yards per play, 5.9 yards per play to 4.1 yards per play. The Bengals ran the ball more than they threw the ball in that football game. So that's kind of why I think, going back and watching the game and seeing this stuff, more willing to say that the Raiders have a very real chance in this one.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing is, so I think we see this Bengals team kind of similar to that Chargers team. They do stop the run better, but they're kind of similar built. And they also, both very, very good in the passing game too, obviously. I think the one thing that's interesting is that if we view this as similar to the Chargers team, I think the Chargers lost that game because they made mistakes and they had terrible special teams. The Bengals are 8th in the NFL on special teams DVOA, compared to the Chargers being bottom 6 as they are every year. And then the turnovers, aren't really that much of a difference. Looking at it, it was, I just had it and I put it away. Hang on. The Bengals are marginally better than the Chargers as far as turnovers. In fact, they're dead even. So, it's just like, so maybe that's a wash, but I think, if the Bengals are a little better on special teams, can that make the difference in this game where they're not going to make those same mistakes the Chargers did?
Sure. Certainly. I mean, again, you could argue, going back to that game, the Raiders made their mistakes as well. Derek Carr missed some throws that were uncharacteristic. But yeah, maybe. I think I'd have to go back and rewatch that Chargers game with this in mind to really get a handle of that. But yeah, that could be an interesting point.
Yeah. So this is definitely I think this could end up the most exciting game of the weekend.
I think so too. I think people are sleeping on it. I think people are kind of acting like this is okay. Well, the Bengals are much better because they've been hot recently, but not always how that worked. Just to finish up a point we brought up earlier, Joe Burrow, passer rating when he is not blitzed is 104. When he is blitzed, it's 122.1. The Raiders blitz just 11.4% of the time. That's last in football. So that, there you go. We already mentioned that point, but kind of the numbers really show how impactful that is.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting, because I do think that both teams can say, well, we have some strengths against their, I think both teams can kind of look at this game and say, hey, we match up kind of well at different things. And I think that's what's going to be interesting about it.
Yeah, I guess one last thing I'll say as well is, Burrow's numbers weren't great the first time these two teams played each other. I mean, 20 for 29, only 148 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception. That's not horrible, but it's not great either. Chase had just 32 yards. But you're right. Even though this was week 11 or week 12, whatever it was 11th game of the season for the Bengals, this was still, it's a very different team even from that point. So should be an interesting game.
Both these teams are way different. And
Yeah.
it took, I was just looking at it too. It took a huge fourth quarter from the Bengals to make that kind of a convincing win. That game was a lot
Hmm.
closer than what it was thought, what the score line says.
Yeah, I think it was a 6 point game heading in, or it was a 1 score game heading into the fourth quarter. So, yeah, interesting stuff. Let's move on. We got 4 games left. You know what? Let's go. Let's throw your team out here, Kyle. Who are you picking? How many points?
All right. So I think everybody came in here and say I come to my senses and pick the better team and take the team that I picked to win the Super Bowl in the preseason. I think that's what everyone thought, right? Well,
Hmm.
you were wrong. I'm going full homer here. I am taking the New England Patriots and risking 1 point to go on the road and beat Buffalo in potentially porous conditions. Uh I think our defense is going to make some adjustments. I think it was a very vanilla playbook the second time these two teams played. I think they're going to be able to run the ball like they did in the first game and not like the second game. And maybe it comes to Mac Jones making 5 throws, and I believe Mac Jones can make 5 good throws in this game. So I'm going to take the Patriots to win this.
Interesting. So, yeah, I didn't. Again, I love the take. A big fan of it. Reminds me of last year when I kept picking Tampa Bay every round, just because the Chiefs Buccaneers game where I was like, I don't know who's going to win, but I'm picking the Buccaneers. So that's kind of what you're doing here a little bit. I'm picking Buffalo. I'm going to put 2 points on it, so I feel somewhat okay about this. It's actually one of the bigger point spreads I have prediction wise. Give me the Bills, 34-24 in this one. So it's an interesting game. And I think, again, talking back, we have a lot of data with these two teams. These are one of the teams that we have multiple games of them playing each other. But what's fascinating is that the first game, like, I don't know how much to take into account. Part of me was like, I don't know how much to take into account when I made my preview for it, which I believe I haven't posted. I'm going to post that tomorrow, but I've already recorded it, the videos for it. I was like, yeah, I'm not really going to pay much attention to the first game because it was such weird weather. Going to pay attention to the second game. Maybe in hindsight, though, as I was thinking about it, that might be the wrong way to look at it because the weather might be closer to the first game than the second game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Northeast weather at this time of year, it's always kind of crazy. So you don't know what you're
Hmm.
going to get, especially in Buffalo. Weirdly, Buffalo has this, extraordinary passing attack that they play in Buffalo.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
I mean, I don't think it's going to affect Josh Allen that much. I think the thing is when I watched that first game, I think it affected the receivers more than the Josh Allen. Josh
I
Allen
agree.
was throwing him some pretty good balls, and they basically just bounced off the guy's chest because they weren't
Hmm.
prepared for them to come their way. So you know, I guess I got to talk myself into this because I'm a Patriots fan,
Sure.
obviously.
Hmm.
So I'm going through it. The biggest news was that Jalen Mills was put on the COVID list, who's been our number 2 corner basically all year. I think he missed 1 game. Um, Not that I think he's the best number 2 corner in football, but this has been a team that's been kind of ravaged by injuries in the secondary this year. And this potentially puts, because at this point, Jonathan Jones, who is supposed to be our slot guy, has been out the whole year. You're looking at guys like Jawan Williams might have to come in and play. Miles Bryant, who's been our slot guy, might have to do a little bit more. And in that second game,
He
Miles
was bad.
Bryant might have been the
Mhm.
worst player on the field in that game.
He
Isaiah
was the lowest
McKenzie kind of,
rated PFF player in that game.
yeah, Isaiah McKenzie had a
Hmm.
huge game. A lot of that was on Miles Bryant's outlook. So you know, it's going to be interesting to see how they match up because that second game it was kind of like McKenzie kind of went off. Diggs had a few big catches, and that was kind of the game. I didn't think the Bills receivers were awesome in that game. I didn't think their running backs were awesome in that game. There was one player who was awesome in that game, and that was Josh Allen. He was able to run the ball
Hmm.
like crazy on us. Josh Allen was the best player on the field on both sides of the ball in that game and kind of dominated it. So I'm interested to see what the Patriots do because the playbook to me in that game kind of looked vanilla. It was kind of a soft zone to start, and then they went to some man coverages and kind of just got beat. Miles Bryant just got beat on a lot of plays, and that was kind of the game. I'm interested to see how they match up with this. The Patriots in the past, when they faced mobile quarterbacks, have kind of gone to this, run style defensive line set where they kind of just don't worry about getting upfield. They get a yard past the line of scrimmage. Wait, that's something that they've preached against Lamar Jackson in the past. Is that something that they try and deploy with Josh Allen? It's kind of harder because he's bigger, but it might be something you try. I'm interested to see how they go about this game and matching up with Josh Allen in round 3.
Yeah, because I mean, I get all that. The way that I kind of viewed this was, I feel like there's a lot of similarities with these teams. You know, both teams cover very well. Both teams, maybe the way to beat them is by running the football, and the way New England's going to try to beat Buffalo is they're going to run the football. You're going to see. I think I'd be surprised if Mac Jones throws the ball more times than he hands it off in this one. I think this is going to be a run-heavy offensive day, especially if it's cold weather. But watching that second game, first off, Mac Jones wasn't good in that game. This was one of Mac Jones' worst games. Was that second game? And even the stat line's a bit misleading, but also he didn't play. Like it was kind of like one of the interceptions was on a late almost Hail Mary type throw, but he also had one that was just dropped, so kind of it evened out. I thought that for Mac Jones, there was a lot of not great decision making. He missed some throws, and he also these are tough throws to make. Like Buffalo is not giving you a ton of separation, and I guess the way I kind of view this game is if you're giving Mac Jones a similar situation to what you're giving for Josh Allen, I'm taking Josh Allen 10 out of 10 times.
That's fair. But I think you can argue, the argument would be then that the Patriots and defensive line and running back or offensive line and running backs are going to win this game. And
sure,
I guess the question is, so if they negate Matt Jones, which, the Bills did in the second game, and is very possible with a rookie quarterback on the road for
and
his
the
first
Patriots
playoff
did in the
start.
first game.
Yes, exactly. Which is very much, possible given the fact that, rookie quarterback on the road, first playoff game. I don't think the expectations are too high for him. It's just, who do you trust more? I think Josh Allen is still going to get some numbers, but at the same time, who do you trust more, the Patriots running backs and offensive line or the Bills offensive line and running backs?
Well, yeah, I guess the way I view it is I trust Josh Allen more than I trust Damian Harris, just because that's football. Throwing the ball gets you more yards than running the ball does. I'm always going to go with the great passing attack over the great rushing attack, unless it's maybe like a Lamar Jackson Ravens where they, can use a quarterback to run the football. If it's a handoff versus Josh Allen, who also can run with the football himself, I like the Bills matchup better. I think you saw in that first game, you saw receivers get relatively open on both sides, and I guess maybe the better way to say it would be, I think there's a lot of similarities in just the passing game for each team. So I get it. The way that the Patriots win this football game is to run the ball and have a lot of success running the football. I just don't know how easy that is to do unless your defense also shuts down your opposition, which I just don't know if that's going to happen in this one.
Yeah, I'm fully prepared to eat my words on this. And
Sure.
by the way, we are going live for this game on this channel at the game time, which is 8:15 Eastern. Make sure I got that right this time. So we are going live for this game. We are going to talk through it through the whole game. You're going to hear me scream at the TV. Be prepared for that. I'm fully prepared to eat my words, but like Dido once said, I will go down with this ship.
Yes, good stuff. How do you feel at this point by Elijah? Mac Jones's handoffs are greater than Josh Allen's handoffs. Patriots by 20.
Fully agree. No, I mean the thing is that basically it comes down to, I think New England's going to have some stuff happen. I think they're going to have to get a turnover or two. They might need a special teams. Gunnar Olszewski is going to have a big special teams play that sets him up with either a short field or he scores himself. The thing is that the Patriots are capable of doing that when they're a smart team. Now, have they been a smart team this whole season? No, but they're capable of doing those things, and they have the personnel that can do it. So, if Gunnar has a big play and J.C. Jackson gets a pick, and maybe Matthew Judon comes in with the big sack and halts a drive, I think the Patriots can win this game.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And I guess that's maybe my final point about the Patriots offense is they're going to have to methodically march down the field, right? They're not going to get a lot of chunk plays. And I don't know if I think that this team can do it against Buffalo. I think Buffalo's defense is too good. It's credit to Buffalo's defense. Buffalo's defense has been really good, even without Tre'Davious White. Both of these defenses are very good. I think New England will have some chances to maybe get some explosive plays, but I don't know how much they'll get. They're going to have to run a lot of 10-play drives, and I haven't seen them be able to do that consistently enough this season for me to love their odds.
Yeah, the Bills just cover so well, man. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a tough matchup. I hate Matt Milano. I hate playing against him, and it's not even anything, towards him. He just plays against my team twice a year. This year, 3 times, and he talks a lot
Mm-hmm.
of shit, and he's also really good. But they have just guys like that around their entire roster that are just fast, cover well. It's gonna be a tough matchup.
Yeah, should be interesting. Let's move on. Let's go to. I like this one. This is a fascinating game. This is the one game where we have not seen the two teams play in the regular season. This is the 49ers taking on the Cowboys. Cowboys are 3-point favorites. Kyle, who are you picking and how many points are you betting on?
I didn't realize I was picking first for every game.
Yeah,
Interesting though.
that's how it works. That's
Oh,
you're up, you're winning. If hey, listen, hopefully after this week I'll be winning and then I'll pick first. I'll gladly pick first every
well, let's hope that doesn't happen. I'm
game.
gonna take the Cowboys here. Uh, I mean, they're a more talented team. I don't really see how. I guess let's just put it this way. I'm gonna put it in as simple as way as possible. How the hell does San Francisco cover Dallas? I don't see it happening. I think Dallas throws the ball all over this team. I got the Cowboys winning. I think this could be like I think this is a game we're all kind of sneakily excited for, and I've liked San Francisco this year, but I could see this kind of getting ugly.
All right. So how many points are you going to put on this game?
1 point.
Okay, I think I have an idea of how your points might be marked up, but we'll get into that in a second. Interesting. So, find it funny how all year you have been the 49ers guy, and I have been the let's pump the brakes on San Francisco. Because now, when it matters most, you are picking against San Francisco. I am picking the 49ers to win this football game. And here's my logic behind it. We'll get to the Cowboys offense in a second. But first, let's talk about the 49ers offense. This first off, I'm so fascinated by this game, right? You got Dan Quinn going up against Kyle Shanahan, right? They went to a Super Bowl with the Atlanta Falcons together. Now they're against each other. And I kind of feel like the Shanahan offense is specifically built to beat a Dan Quinn defense. And this, you might argue, well, this is a different Dan Quinn defense. They don't just play cover three. They play it a lot, but they do some other stuff. They blitz, top their 10th most highest blitz percentage in the league this year. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo's passer rating against the blitz is actually second best in football this year. He does well. The 49ers do well when you blitz them. So if basically Dallas's options are keep it simple and run cover three, which Shanahan should be able to game plan all over, or mix things up by blitzing, but the 49ers don't really have a problem with that. So I think it's a bad matchup for Dallas's defense going up against San Francisco's offense.
Interesting. So I think that's a fair point. But at the same time, I could also see, I could see these guys on Dallas's defensive line and, looking at Micah Parsons and just them having big games in this one. And I think San Francisco's all line's pretty good. And they're going to be able to run the ball, I think. But I could just see Dallas, they've been the turnover machines this season, turnover making machines.
Mm-hmm.
They've been able to create turnovers like crazy. Jimmy Garoppolo has given away his fair share of turnovers, especially in big games and big spots. How did
Mm-hmm.
they prevent that in this game? I probably defend Jimmy more than more people. Not that
Mm-hmm.
I think he's great or anything, but I think he's fine. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how does Jimmy Garoppolo protect the ball against this team, which has proven that it can get turnovers in every game?
That's a very fair point. And one thing I think is fascinating as well is, and this is kind of a point in both directions, and I think San Francisco will target Diggs in this one, who has, developed a reputation for getting beat on double moves. And listen, this isn't the team to fall for double moves on, right? Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel will burn you if you get too antsy and get too aggressive. And this is a very aggressive defense. The flip side, though, is if you're throwing to Diggs often, Garoppolo is not exactly known for never making mistakes. He might underthrow a ball, which could result in it going the other way. So I think that's very fascinating. I guess my counter to that point, and also my score, I have Cowboys 24, 49ers 28. My counter for that, though, is I kind of feel like every time, if my mindset is this team needs to win the turnover battle to win the football game, I never feel comfortable with that. Although for Dallas, they've won the turnover battle a lot this season. So it's a little bit different than saying it to, a team that maybe doesn't have that reputation.
Yeah, they've just been able to do it, which is kind of like why I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they probably get a couple here.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention their offense doesn't turn the ball over a whole lot, so that adds to it too.
The flip side also, Dallas isn't the best at stopping the run. Again, this is not the team you want to be a lackluster run defense against.
Yeah. So if I said over under 160 yards for Deebo Samuel, what's your pick? Total yards.
I mean, I think I'd have to go under for 160. That seems like a very high number.
It's 50 yards rushing, 110 yards receiver. I think that's possible.
Okay, I guess if it's all-purpose yards, I wasn't necessarily thinking about it. I'll still say under, but I think maybe over 100 all-purpose yards.
Over 100?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that probably happens too. But I think it's gonna, this is another game where it's got to be the secondary guys because I think that's when San Francisco's been at their best. It's when Elijah Mitchell has 120 yards on the ground, and you got Brandon Ayuk with 60, 70 yards receiving and a couple big third down conversions. I think we know by this point Debo and Kittle are going to get theirs. Can these other guys get theirs as well is the question. And I still kind of just say I don't know. Maybe I'm just prisoner of the talent, but I just think okay, one team has, it's like looking at an Alabama team and just saying okay, well, they have a lot of 5-stars, so I'm picking them. Dallas has a lot of 5-stars, and I'm like, okay, I'm going with that.
Yeah, it's possible I'm overthinking a couple of these games. I'll be the first to admit, but that's what I do here, right? Is I think about things way too much. Let's go to the other side of the ball because that's the intrigue. You brought up kind of your point was, well, how is San Francisco going to cover Dallas? And I agree, there is a big talent thing, but this is another team in San Francisco who plays a lot of zone coverage, and it's going to help out their corners. And I think what's interesting is that basically both of these two teams are probably going to go about attacking their respective defense in very similar ways. I think that you're going to try to see a lot of play actions, a lot of this over the middle stuff, a lot of handoffs in this one. And I think that if you're doing that for Dallas, if you're throwing a lot of 5-yard passes to your tight ends, that's what San Francisco wants. You're playing into their hand right there. So that's kind of my thing is I think San Francisco, if both teams are having the same offensive philosophy in this game, which I'm betting on they will, I think I trust San Francisco to execute that offense more than I trust Dallas to.
That's a fair point, and I know the Gallup injury is obviously a big deal, but at the same time, I trust CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Cedric Wilson, and then even Dalton Schultz get it done too. And I just looking at the numbers standpoint, just the numbers say San Francisco drop back EPA, they are 23rd in the league, so they're not very good. And I'm willing to I don't even have the numbers in front of me, but I'm willing to say Dallas is among the top 5 in drop back EPA. So I think that's a huge discrepancy. Could they make Dallas try and go long drives and make that difficult for them? Possibly, but at the same time, I also think CeeDee Lamb can still break one in this game and just say, okay, there's a 60-yard play out of the blue, and he can do that a few times in this game because he's way better than anybody in that San Francisco secondary.
Yeah, listen, it's certainly possible, right? Again, we're dealing with good teams playing good teams. So these are, we like to have strong opinions here, but we're really having the strong opinions on who we think should be favored, not who we think is definitely going to win, because who knows what's going to happen at the end of the day. One thing I feel like is worth mentioning a little bit is the way the Bengals played the 49ers, because the Bengals kind of a similar build to the Cowboys, right? A lot of good, talented receivers for Cincinnati. Burrow had a really good day. He had 348 yards on 34 attempts, although the final score wasn't necessarily that incredible. So, and plus, I think Cincinnati, the way that they kind of game planned, there's a blueprint there. Do I trust Mike McCarthy to run that blueprint, who I've liked this season, but I don't know if I like him as much as I like Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would take Shanahan too, over Mike McCarthy. Hot take. But yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is I just believe in the talent a little bit more. Like I said, we broke it down. I still like all of Dallas's pieces. Even without Gallup, I still think they're going to be able to get theirs in the receiving room. And, maybe Elliott breaks a couple runs and has a couple, big plays in this one. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of him, but maybe he does enough in this game.
Sure. Certainly possible. Let's move on. Let's go to another game. Let's go to my team now. Kyle, both our teams in the postseason. When's the last time both of our teams have been in the postseason? It must have been at, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I don't think Tampa Bay made it. I have no idea. That's a good trivia question.
When was the last time Tampa Bay made the playoffs before last year?
That would be 2002 when they won the Super Bowl, which the Patriots did not make the playoffs. That
Oh
was one of
wow.
the few years they missed it.
Yeah.
So
So
we're going back a while. Or no, that was when they last time they won a playoff game. So I was thinking that. What I wanted it must have been then.
didn't a Jeff
2007
Garcia
would have
team
been.
make it?
Yeah, that was 2007. So that would be it probably.
Okay, so there you go. We had a pretty
Yeah,
good team that year.
I got my embarrassing Buccaneer stats mixed up.
Yeah, we had a pretty good
Mhm.
team that year, so I'm sure we made the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that no way that team could have like lost the Super Bowl or anything.
No, that 16-0 team, yeah. I mean, they finished the year 20-0. So 19-0,
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
20-0. They were so good they gave them an extra win.
Yep, basically.
All right. We've delayed talking about this game enough. I think you're just trying to stall because you don't want to get to the Steelers Chiefs game. I think that's your real game plan here. But Eagles Buccaneers. Kyle, where are you going? Who are you picking? How many points?
Tampa Bay, 1 point. They're gonna win though. They're gonna win by a lot. The similar, Tampa Bay. I'm just sticking to the numbers with this one. Tampa Bay is number 1 in dropback EPA on offense. The Eagles aren't terrible. They're 18th. It's not horrendous, but it's not good enough to keep up with Tampa. I don't care who's in the lineup at receiver. Tom Brady's in the lineup. That's good with me. Rob Gronkowski and Mike Evans are in the lineup. Playoff Lenny might be back. I think that's going to be a nice addition if he is able to play. And so, yeah, I got Tampa winning this one. I think that they can win pretty comfortably.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm also picking Tampa Bay. I'm a little bit again. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have a chance in this one. Again, I think back to the last time these two teams played, which a lot has happened since then, right? I mean, Tampa Bay has lost Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. They didn't have Rob Gronkowski in that football game. There's a lot of different moving parts. The Eagles are a completely different team. The Buccaneers are a completely different team. But I still like to go back. I think you can learn a lot from those specific games. And Tampa Bay, it was a lot of screen passes. It was a lot of running methodical drives. They got some chunk plays here and there. But I do think that this is a team that's going to have to kind of methodically move down the field. I think they can do it. I think, Tom Brady's made a career out of doing that to some degree. But I think I could see this maybe not being an offensive explosion by Tampa Bay. I have the Buccaneers winning. I'm putting 1 point on it. I had the Buccaneers 23-20 in this one.
Wow. So that's a close one. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think it's fair to say they might not go nuts. But at the same time, could this be a game where they kind of, just go about their business and kind of get out of there with like a 20-7 win, kind of thing? And while it's not like a huge offensive day, it's an efficient offensive day and they just get out of town.
Yeah, and that's not dissimilar to what happened the first time these teams played. The Bucks won. They scored 28 points in that one, which is a little bit higher. But again, you're scoring touchdowns, so that is going to help. Eagles end up scoring 22. They kind of came back late in it. I could see it happening. I mean, the Eagles like to play a good amount of cover too. That's a coverage that that's what Washington played against Tampa Bay. That's what Saints like to play a lot more man, but they'll play a similar coverage against Tampa Bay, and that's given them some trouble. So that's why I think that I still like the talent on Tampa Bay enough that they'll still be able to score the points and they'll still be able to, play into Philadelphia's hand, but get enough points doing it. However, I do think that the schematics is going to give the Eagles a better chance than I like the Eagles plus 8.5 here is what I'll say.
That's probably fair. It's going to be interesting because I think the problem I have is that I feel like it's really going to come down to, and we've said this before in Brady games, and I think it's true in this one, is can the defensive line kind of get after him for Philly? And, I think there's good players on that defensive line. Tampa Bay's offensive line just feels too good for me for this one. Like, I don't think they're going to allow that to happen. And can these guys cover enough to, allow that defensive line to actually get to Brady because he has the fastest release in football. So I think those are a couple problems they're going to run into. I mean, I don't really have much else when it comes to the Tampa Bay offense against the Philly defense. And I also think it's a bad matchup for the Philly offense against the Tampa defense.
Yeah. One last thought on that side of the ball, and then we'll flip. over. Just there was a big Leonard Fournette game in that one. His numbers might not show it, but the tape was very good. He got the most out of what he could get in that one. So it'd be big news for Tampa Bay if he comes back. Let's go to the flip side. The first thing is that Jalen Hurts did not have a good day the first time these two teams played each other. They were not able to pass the ball with too much effectiveness. Now, there were a couple of long penalties that kind of make the numbers look a little bit worse in that one. But I think one thing is if you were struggling to get guys open as much as you were the first time these two teams played, how are you going to get guys open? Now that Tampa Bay has all their corners back is the real question.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Because I mean, who was available in that game? Let me look at it real quick. Whitehead
It was
played.
Yeah, well, for the corners, it was Jamel Dean. I believe D. Delaney was a corner in that one. I'm trying to remember, and Ross Cockrell was and Richard Sherman was in that game as well. So now, you expect there to be, more healthy guys of Carlton Davis, maybe be the headliner. Maybe that's the way you beat them. It's like, could Quez Watkins burn Carlton Davis with speed and get a big play in this one? We've seen that happen with Carlton Davis.
It's possible, but I just think with their full guys, I think it's going to be tough. I guess the one thing that is kind of interesting, and I just looked this up. This is defensive numbers against quarterbacks. Tampa Bay has given up the fourth most amount of rushing yards against quarterbacks in the NFL this season. They've given up 399 yards this season against quarterbacks. But their DVOA, or not DVOA, their EPA, against the run is fifth in the NFL. So, I think that maybe this is something where, they defend the run straight up, but maybe the scramble they struggle with it a little bit more. Who knows? It's going to be an interesting matchup though. Because I think Hurts is going to have to get it on the ground. Because like you said, how are they going to get guys open when they couldn't the first time?
Yeah, that's really what's going to come down to is you're going to have to run the ball effectively and kind of, what I was come back to is like, okay, when your game plan is, hey, our quarterback is going to run the ball well enough to beat Tom Brady. Like that might not be a great game plan heading into the game.
That's probably fair. But the defense is going to have to play well. I don't see a vision where Philly wins this game like 35-31 kind of thing.
Right.
I don't see them outscoring Tampa. It's because the defensive line gets after Brady, mucks this game up a little. You're able to control the clock a little bit with your running game, and you get out of there with like a 14-10 win or a 17-14 win. I just don't see them doing that. I don't see them doing that with their secondary and with the matchups at wide receivers.
I agree. I think one other interesting factor here, because I think this is interesting. If you're Philadelphia, do you embrace the underdog role? The way that Philadelphia famously beat Tom Brady and your New England Patriots in the Super Bowl was by not being afraid to go for it on fourth downs. Do you do that in this game, or do you say, you know what, our matchup is good enough that we think we can beat them straight up if maybe just one or two things bounce our way?
Well, I'm sure they'll probably try and embrace an underdog role. I'm not sure if it makes a difference.
I mean, like strategically, like going for it on fourth downs, like playing more aggressive, throwing the ball on down the field on 3rd and 17, stuff like that.
I'd imagine so. I don't know how aggressive Sirianni historically has been this season, but I imagine that they kind of have to do stuff like that and try and tilt the scales in their favor.
Yeah, I think it should be interesting though. I think this is going to be one that I wouldn't be shocked to see surprise you. I think this is going to be a classic one of those games where the Buccaneers offense doesn't score a bunch of points, but the defense does well against Philadelphia, and all of the Brady getting carried by his defense once again. Twitter accounts will come out.
Yeah, you've experienced the Brady hate, the Brady hate side the last couple of years. How do you feel about it?
It's fun. I think it's it's weird. I feel like it's not a lot of great arguments is what I've noticed. We also have, speaking of Brady hate, we have a super chat. Brady crapped himself in 7 games this season, and one of those games was against the Eagles. The reason is that Eagles D-line can get after him. Well, they didn't the first time. The Buccaneers offensive line was fantastic against the Eagles defensive line. And I thought Brady played fine in that one. So I don't agree. I appreciate your super chat, Zachary, but I disagree with your the way you saw that game.
Yeah, I mean his numbers were pretty good in that game. He didn't throw the ball downfield a whole lot. But
but like we said, it's the coverage that's given Tampa Bay trouble this season.
Yeah, so.
All right. Well, one game left. Yes, we have to talk about it, Kyle. You are very confident in the Steelers beating the Kansas City Chiefs here. You are putting all your points on it. So why are you so confident?
That is not true. I am taking the Chiefs, and I'm using 7 of my 12 points this week on the Chiefs winning this
Mhm.
game. The Steelers suck, man. Like they really just are not good. I see this as a huge problem. It's not good to be bad and be in the playoffs. And you know what? Mike Tomlin could be an awesome coach. He could be the best coach ever. But it's not going to be enough in this game. I think the Steelers are going to have a lot of problems. I think that Kansas City is going to be able to throw the ball. I think Kansas City is going to be able to run the ball. Steve Spagnuolo is an aggressive defensive coordinator getting after the quarterback. Their quarterback, being Ben Roethlisberger, is less mobile than the Statue of Liberty. I think he's going to have a
Mhm.
lot of trouble in this game. I think the Steelers are going to get blown out.
Yeah. Uh, this could be a tough one for Pittsburgh. Is the best case scenario for Ben Roethlisberger for the Steelers to just get crushed in this one? It's like this rip off the Band-Aid, like have everything go wrong, so that way people don't look at him as the reason why. Is that best case scenario?
It might be
Best
the
case
only
realistic
scenario.
scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
guess so.
so. I think that's
Mhm.
probably the best case. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't know. I don't see any situation where they're moving the ball.
Yeah. Also, should mention, I think it's kind of obvious, but I'm also picking Kansas City to win this one. I'm putting 6 points because I gave an extra one to Buffalo. Other than that, I think we're both feeling very similar here. Also, actually, I wrote Pittsburgh in my notes for you. I guess I was hoping that you would put 7 points on Pittsburgh, but no, that's not what's happening. Yeah. I mean, the first time these two teams played, which by the way was like 3 weeks ago. So like we just saw 3 weeks ago the Chiefs like destroy the Steelers, and now we're seeing them again. So there isn't even like that. Hey, who knows? Maybe the matchup will go be in the Pittsburgh's favor. That didn't happen. Pittsburgh, like I guess the one thing I'll say is Chase Claypool had a really good day in that one. He made some really impressive catches. Maybe you keep throwing the ball to Chase Claypool, but again, the issue is Roethlisberger was not good in that one, and that's
No.
kind of been Ben Roethlisberger this season. In fact, fun little fact, Kyle. I believe it was the second highest PFF graded player in that game for Pittsburgh was Mason Rudolph, who came in as in relief late in the fourth quarter. Usually not a good sign when one of your best players was your backup quarterback.
No, not at all. And then look, I mean, like Najee Harris is banged up heading into this game too, and he was actually
Mhm.
decent in this game. He
Yeah.
was all right, you know. And so it's just like I don't know. I think it's going to be a really tough situation for Pittsburgh. Obviously, isn't the best situation for this offense to just try and throw it up and see if you can like make 10 catches?
I was thinking about the thing is you try to do these methodical drives, you try to kill the clock, make it an 8 possession game, run the ball a lot, run a lot of screen. I think you could run like these pick plays. Pittsburgh has had some success doing that. I think you do stuff like that, throw it up to Claypool a lot, definitely, like you said. I don't know if I don't know how far Ben Roethlisberger can throw the football, so that's an issue. Is like literally like it's funny because we talk about these teams that have to go methodical, and usually like okay, New England, they have to play a methodical style because of who they're playing against. Buffalo is really good. We'll keep stuff in front of them. Like Pittsburgh just has to do that. Like they don't have the capability to have a downfield passing attack. Like their quarterback, I don't think can throw the ball like that far more than maybe twice a game.
Yeah. Shame on the NFL, by the way, for going for the Steelers ratings and putting this on Sunday night. Al
I like
Michaels just might not even show up.
I like this comment by Eli Molden. This is very good. Andy Reid said Steelers are playing like a top team. So obviously he's not watching film. Even though the Chiefs are a much better team coming in unprepared to an NFL game isn't good for your chances. That's a good point by Eli there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so
Uh-huh.
I guess you kind of broke it down offensively and then defensively. I mean, listen, this is a front seven that I think is a decent front seven, but it's a front seven built to stop the pass, and they can't
Mhm.
stop the run for anything, you know. And then you have this pass, you have this front seven who's not going to be able to stop the run. Chiefs have run the ball well lately with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the lineup, uh, and then you got a secondary who's kind of hot garbage. And then it's like, okay, even if Tyreek Hill's not 100%, Tyreek Hill is still going to be open a lot in this game. Travis Kelsey should find some spaces in the zone. I mean, what is the solution to Pittsburgh trying to cover this team?
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is like TJ Watt. I believe he wasn't fully healthy in the first time these teams played. He didn't get many snaps in this one, so that's maybe the X factor because Mahomes had a million hours back there on every play seemingly, but so that's interesting. But yeah, the one thing about the Steelers team is people keep saying it's like, well, to have this great defense, but the defense is like mediocre. Like it's currently 16th in EPA per play. It's also 16th in points per drive, which are my two favorite stats to look at. So it's not even like this defense could have a chance to shut down Patrick Mahomes in this offense. I don't see how they're going to do that either. We also have Overlap 618, the great Overlap 618 in the chat saying, give the people what they really came for here, Jackson. A sneak peek look preview of the Penguins suit. Let's go. I do not have the Penguins. I'm purchasing the Penguin suit if the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl. I do not currently have a Penguin suit like with me. I don't own a Penguin suit.
Yeah, well, maybe you should get it now and prepare.
I guess would that be like, I feel like a little bit cocky though, right? That's like popping the champagne like at halftime.
Yeah, I guess maybe. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Just get it anyways. You can wear it on most shows.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, or maybe just like wear it, when I go out to like dinner or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the game. Stop trying to distract us, everyone. We have to talk about this game. It is our job to talk about every game that's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, like, can't you just see the? Okay, we have another super chat of Overlap 618. Send location. I will buy this right now and send it to your address. I think I'm all right on the buying it and giving my address just out to the podcast. I think that
Let me put it in the chat real quick. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I think that might not be the best decision.
All the TJ Watt fans and the Zach Taylor fans and the Tua fans are just going to show up at your doorstep.
Oh yeah, to and on knowing my address would not be good, Kyle.
Me neither.
I think I'd rather QAnon know my address than to and on.
QAnon wouldn't know what to do with you.
I guess so. Yeah, probably. Football. We're talking about Steelers. We're talking about the Chiefs. Kyle, what is the way that the Steelers slow down? I'll throw this question at you. Also, by the way, my final score: Chiefs 34, Steelers 17. How many points do the Steelers need to hold Kansas City to stand a chance in this one?
Maybe if they have a good day, 24, I guess. 23.
You think that there's a chance that the Steelers score 24 points in this game?
I don't think getting
a realistic chance.
I don't think it's impossible. Like,
I'm not saying it's impossible, but like
I think their best day is 24 to 28. Their best day. Now
that's optimistic.
Their realistic day is probably like 14. So
probably, yeah. I think it's going to be tough for Pittsburgh, and I also feel like part of the issue too is for them to win. I think they're going to have to limit possession, so that'll probably make the score even lower. But I just don't know. Like this just feels like Mahomes is going to find a way to just get like at least like 4 or 5 like 30+ yard plays in this one at least.
Would you bet Chiefs minus 12.5?
Yeah, I'd bet on Kansas City more than I would bet on Pittsburgh. What about you?
Yeah, I was thinking about tees because I think you can do basically 3-team 7-point tees, and I mean you could basically tease Kansas City down to under a touchdown. What is that? 5.5. You can tease Tampa Bay down to 1.5, which is basically just winning straight up. And then what was the other one I was looking at? It was Cincinnati. You can get plus odds. Because what are they? They're 4 right now, Cincinnati?
So yeah, I believe it's 4.5.
4.5. So you can get Cincinnati by, lose by a field goal and still win that.
Okay. Actually, I have it as 5.5 here. So a little bit different.
Okay. So 2.5. But I mean, I still feel pretty good about that. That was a 3-team tease I was thinking about. Or I could just throw Dallas in there and get Dallas even odds.
I was even thinking you could do the other way and just give 49. But again, I have 49ers winning. So we disagree a lot on this one. The one thing we agree on is that this game, Kyle, should we just give the Chiefs a bye week and just say, hey, Steelers, you're done?
You might as well. And Roethlisberger's probably hoping for that.
Yeah, really. That's best case scenario for Roethlisberger.
Yeah. He just doesn't show up.
If you had to bet on, let's say there's a gun to your head, and they'll say, Kyle, we're going to shoot you unless one of these two incredibly unlikely scenarios happen. Either the Steelers beat the Chiefs or all five of the other games are upsets, meaning the underdog wins. So the Cardinals, Raiders, Patriots, and Eagles and Niners all win. What is more unlikely in your mind?
Oh, just shoot me at that point. I guess, I guess probably the Steelers because it's just one game.
Uh-huh.
The odds there are in my favor. Uh, I definitely think, they're obviously the biggest underdog, and I see roadmaps to every other underdog winning the game,
Mhm.
but like, there's no way everybody's going to win.
Yeah, seems unlikely. Also seems unlikely the Steelers are going to pull this one out. But hey, stranger things have happened.
That is true. Stranger things have happened. Probably won't happen this Sunday, though.
Although this would be the biggest upset in wildcard weekend history, given it's the biggest point spread in wildcard weekend history at 12.5 points.
The most surprising thing that's going to happen during this game is Chris Collinsworth raving about Ben Roethlisberger when he's
Uh-huh.
like, 16 for 35 for 120 yards.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be good. Yeah, should be a wow. Also, how did this one end up being the Sunday night game? Like, how did that happen?
Because the Steelers, they're the
I guess
ratings
so.
grab.
Yeah.
It's basically that's the only reason I could think of. And CBS drafted the Cowboys game, which is crazy. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. Like what else would you put there? I guess New England Buffalo.
Literally any of them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think the Saturday afternoon game, like I said, that's usually the worst game of the week. That might be the best game of this matchup.
Yeah. Wait, Saturday afternoon. That's the Niners Cowboys.
No, Saturday afternoon's Raiders Bengals.
Raiders Bengals. Oh, right. Saturday after. I was thinking Sunday. Yeah. No. I agree. Yeah. Should be interesting. Should be an interesting week. All right, Kyle. That's our show. Doesn't take forever this time because we only have 6 games to go over. Although we still managed to go long.
Long show. It's what we do.
Hmm.
You know, basically just get used to our shows being over an hour from now on. And
Hmm.
then we're going live. We're doing it twice this weekend, right? We announced the Patriots one. Are we doing it twice?
Yeah, so we're doing the Patriots game and the Tampa Bay game. We will be going live. So everyone on the channel, be on the lookout for that. We're going to do sort of a watch along. If you remember when we did the Week 4 Patriots Buccaneers game, we did it. We're going to do it for each of our teams. So we should see a lot of emotions during those two games. It's the Saturday night game and then the Sunday 1 o'clock Eastern game, Tampa Bay Philadelphia. So and then we're going to be going live Monday night I guess we're doing Monday night at midnight that time after the Cardinals
Monday
Rams, or do you
night
just want
game.
to
Yeah.
go live, or do you just want to go live like immediately after the game ends?
Uh, let's do.
Well,
Let's
actually,
set
let's do.
midnight. Let's set
Yeah,
midnight.
that's what uh-huh.
Keep
Yeah,
the symmetry going. All right.
exactly.
So that works for me. And then if both of our teams lose this week, we're never doing live games again. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, we might get banned off of YouTube if both of our teams lose, and we have to watch it live.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, that
I'm
would be. I mean, that's the risk.
I'm gonna break something.
Well, but that's also like if you break something like that's great. Just that's great content.
You know what's crazy? You've seen those reaction videos when like
Hmm.
the people break the TV because they're so upset about
Yeah.
something. Like
Hmm.
I love sports and I love my teams.
Hmm.
I am never in my life breaking a multi-$100 TV for the sake of a
No,
sporting event. Like that's the
no.
most like I have to I have a feeling people go and buy TVs specifically so they can break them reactionary.
Yeah. I always wonder. It's like, okay, you've just always been rich all of your life. Like you never had an issue of being able to not afford a TV. Like that's never been something
But
that's happened to you.
every time you see those things, it's like people with like wood panel, walls. It's like that's not
Right.
rich. Like those people don't
Yeah,
have
you're
money.
right.
You would have changed those walls 20 years ago if you had money. Um,
uh,
I don't know. I don't get it. Those are always the wildest things to me. Um, I would never do it. I can't get that upset. I get upset. I mean, how drunk do you have to be to break a TV?
yeah, I don't. I think the worst I got. I think I threw like an empty cup once, like at the ground, and then I was like, oh, why did I do that? That was stupid.
I threw a remote. Actually,
Uh
that's not
huh.
true. I threw a football through the window once.
Oh, wait a second. Wait, like as in like it broke the window, or just like there was an open window and you through it?
The window broke. I threw the football. I did not mean to hit the window. This is why my quarterback career never worked out. I was like 12 at the time. So
Okay.
my toy bin was in the corner of the house next to a window. I throw the football and the ball sails on me a little bit like a Tua pass. I looked like Tua back there
Sure.
throwing the football and it just shattered
Mhm.
the window and went down. And I just looked at it and walked away.
Okay. Well, yeah. Also like in an hour when you're depressed about your team losing, you're also going to be like, I really wish I didn't break that TV.
Yeah, that's silly because then you gotta, you can't just go and buy a new TV that day. So you gotta
Right.
like live with like a broken TV until you can go, you can go buy a new TV.
Yeah. I also feel like I do the opposite when my team loses. I think like, okay, well, I have all these nice things. Like my life's going pretty good. It's just a game at the end. Like that's how I mentally
Well, lucky
justify
you. No, I'm just kidding. um,
it.
uh, yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll just buy TVs that we can break and just do reaction videos of that.
Ooh, I like that. Or just like, yeah, go to like buy like already broken TVs and make it seem like they were working.
Yeah, and then we just shatter them.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a good plan. Anyways, thanks to everyone for watching. Kyle, let them know where they can find us before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Ronan on Twitter. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That's at On the Sideline JK. And once again, just one more time in case you missed it, the first two times we mentioned it, Saturday night, 8:15 Eastern, we will be live on this channel. Patriots, Bills, we're going to go through the whole game. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern, Bucks and the Eagles. We're going to watch that blowout. And then our reaction video to the entire wildcard round is going to be Monday night, midnight Eastern.
Yeah, should be interesting. I also like this Mitch May saying, "No way Tua could break a window." Do you think that might be a Brian Flores' burner account on YouTube?
It might be. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. That's crazy. Hey, Brian. You can come on the podcast whenever you want, Brian Flores.
Sure. Yeah. Did you want to talk about that?
It's a bad
I think
move.
let's save it for another show. I think we're good.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
All right. But yeah, thanks to everyone. Kyle, any final thoughts before we head out?
Playoff football. Looking forward to it. Patriots are back. Excited for that too. Let's go get the W Saturday night.
Yeah, should be fun. A lot of fun matchups. Blast playoffs are here. All right, everyone. Yeah, be on the lookout for the rest of my preview videos, and also for all the content we'll be making myself, and also Kyle and I will be making this weekend. Should be a lot of fun. And until next time, see you later, alligator.
Ranch stinks.
Well, what did you say?
I said ranch stinks for any Buffalo fans out there.
Ranch stinks.
Yeah, because they like buffalo wings, ranch.
But right, I thought isn't the general? Why are you? Wait, are you saying like Buffalo fans like ranch, and so you're saying it stinks?
Yes.
I thought the narrative is that they like blue cheese.
Are they blue cheese people?
I believe so, and also ranch objectively does not stink.
I'm a blue cheese person, so I can't even say that then. Never mind. Cut this out.
You could say buffalo wings stink.
Well, that's not true
Right?
either. I'm probably going to
Yeah,
eat
that's just a
buffalo
lie.
wings the day of the game. So, um, ranch is horrible. What are you talking about?
What do you mean ranch is horrible?
It's like salted cream. Like, who cares?
I'm not saying. Listen, I prefer blue cheese on wings over ranch, but ranch is definitely very good on certain things.
If it's not for wings, what else are you putting ranch on? Salad?
I don't really put it on salad. I feel like I like chicken tenders. I'll use ranch sometimes. I prefer buffalo, but I'll go with ranch.
I like buffalo and barbecue and honey mustard over ranch, personally.
Okay, sure. All right.
That's
Well,
my opinion. It's right.
okay. Chat seems to be everyone who stayed tuned here for the extra bonus ranch talk. Thank you to everyone again. Yeah, see, ranch goes in everything. I'm with Dark Reaper 1267.
That's fair.
Penguin Stew has two wings by overlap 618. All right, if we're going forever, we gotta get out of off this. I'll say this: buttermilk ranch 10 times better than ranch you'll buy at the supermarket.
I'll just pass on both and buy the blue cheese. That's okay.
All right, fine. We'll just agree to disagree here. I didn't realize our most heated discussion would be over ranch, but whatever. We'll move on. Yeah. All right. Thanks to everyone again for staying tuned to all this nonsense. Yeah. Until next time. See you later, alligator.
Peace.
All right. No ranch things this time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Bye.